Hi there. Thank you for tuning in INTV. And today is kind of special because I'm going to do a special sharing regarding one of the project that a lot of demand asking us to do some sort of sharing, because this project is Malaysian first government hospital that managed to be certified under LEED, LEED, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and it's the first government building that actually able to certify under this green building certification. And it is none other than Hospital Langkawi, the first LEED existing building operation maintenance hospital in Malaysia. And this project was located in Langkawi Island, is on Malaysia, Peninsula Malaysia. And it has been built since 1995. So it's almost more than 25 years old. And this building, this hospital, was primarily cater for the needs of hospital in the island. And this project was started in 2015. So let's look at why is it greening hospital such an important in terms of cutting down the greenhouse gas emissions. If you look at the sector that contribute to these greenhouse gas emissions, transportation is 16%, energy use in building is 17.5%, and in terms of industry, it's about 5.2%, and waste is 3.2%. So in terms of hospital, there's a few contributions factor over here, including transport, energy use, and also industrial, and also waste. So a hospital is an important building in terms of integrating all these sectors, and by reducing or by greening the hospital, you are directly reducing the greenhouse gas emissions on all these sectors. And let's look at the timeline of this project. It started off in 2015, and of course, it's an initiative by Malaysian government, specifically Ministry of Health at that time, that to put in such a requirement for all the facility maintenance company that's going to maintain this hospital. So it started in 2015, where there's a specific requirement to the company that manage the hospital, which is UEM Agenta. And they started energy audit in September 2016, and 2017 is being the pilot project that registered for LEED existing building operation maintenance V4. So at that time is version 4 is pretty new versions of LEED. And of course, in terms of Malaysians building standard wasn't there yet, right? We are still trying to achieve some of the version 3 project, the older versions of LEED project. And this project started off in terms of performance measurements in 2018, and in 2019, the performance period was ended. So in LEED version 4, existing building operation maintenance, that required at least 1 year, some of the credits, some of the requirement required 1 year of performance measurements. And by 2019, that was done. And throughout the submissions period, and finally we got it certified in May 2020. And of course, in terms of Malaysian government, we want to make sure that 148 hospitals or clinics to be under green building certifications. And LEED was one of the major certifications that Malaysian government was looking at. So by 2025, the government is looking at least 148 hospitals on clinic. So for this project, Hospital Langkawi was recognized by Prime Minister during the iGEM International Green Tech Exhibitions 2020. So in his speech, the Prime Minister actually congratulated the Ministry of Health able to successfully implement the Green Building Initiative for Hospital Langkawi, being the first and being the pilot in Malaysia. And why lead existing building operation and maintenance? Of course, the government was looking at a holistic green building rating tool and also international recognizations for that rating tool. And of course, in terms of implementation period, also throughout the successfully implementing, there's few years in the work. And also we being IN consultant actively participate in the process from training the government officials to dealing with the operation and maintenance person in charge in the hospital. And if you look at LEED rating tool for existing building operations maintenance, is a holistic approach. There's a few categories within that rating tool. We are looking at location and transportations, sustainable site, water efficiency, and energy and atmosphere. Location and transportation was looking at how convenient your location is and how do you improvise or improve the transportations without the needs of the fossil fuel driven vehicle. And if we look at the sustainable side, how do we restoring, protect, and also preserve the existing habitat and also green area. And also water efficiency, we are looking at how does the building perform in terms of reducing water consumption. And obviously energy and atmosphere, we are looking at how to reduce the energy usage or against the LEED benchmark or a national benchmark. And there's another 4 category, which is material and resources, indoor environment quality, innovation, and also regional priority. So in terms of material and resources, we are focusing how to reducing the impact of the material or the waste. And next, looking into the indoor environmental quality, the focus point here is to create a healthy indoor environment and also eliminating those unnecessary pollutants or chemical within the building. Innovations is reward to the project that can demonstrate some of the innovative ideas for the green building. And lastly, the regional priority was looking at the point or the credit that focusing on what is the priority in that region. For example, Malaysia is hot and humid climate. And of course, LEED was looking at awarding more points for example, if you go for water efficiency. And if you look at the scoring, the hospital managed to score 61 points out of 110 points, which put the hospital at the gold level. So it's gold certified hospital. Okay, let's look at the site boundary. The gross floor area is about 35,000 square meter. And of course, air conditioning area is about 27% out of this total GFA. So if you look at the site boundary, so of course, we exclude those hostel or the squatters that house nurses and also doctors. And if you can see, the majority of the area is the green area, is preserved forest, and that actually scores some of the point in sustainable site. So the bed capacity is about 110 beds. Staff is about 466 staff. First off, the location and transportations. There's a electric vehicle charger placed in the hospital where we do encourage the occupants to drive the EV. And the other important thing here is because the hostels and the quarters is quite near, and they actually have this pedestrian walkway, covered pedestrian walkway, and some are beside the building, and make sure that it is safe for the nurses and also doctors to walk from the hostel or the quarters to the hospital. That reduces the needs of vehicles by any sort of transportation. And next, if you look at the protect and restore habitats, we have 59% of the landscape and also forest reserve. So if you look at the site boundary just now, right, we only utilize about 40 8% of the total land area. So if you can see over here, the behind the hospital was this huge forest reserve. Yep, and also in terms of restoring the greenery, courtyard, for example, this hospital is looking into very kind of green landscaping. So we have about 4 to 5 courtyards that are able to design in such a way that promote biodiversity and also promote the interactive of people and the nature. In terms of waste management, the hospital actually provide the facilities and also the chamber to collect all these recyclable. But unfortunately, we are still very far away from a LEED target, which is 50%. If you look at the average for 10 hospital in Kedah is about 10% of the waste recycling rate. But if you look at the hospital Langkawi, it's at about 15%. Still very far away from LEED target, which is 50%. But we are working toward that direction, obviously. Because if you look at the waste management, the majority of the waste are food waste and some other waste that are not able to recycle. Of course, paper, cardboard, aluminum, steel, plastic, and glass. These are the recyclable waste stream. And food waste for this hospital, actually, we are recycling it or we are compost it to become a fertilizer. By having a food waste composter. So this food waste composter was taking all this food waste and turn it into a fertilizer that will be used for the landscaping purpose. And in terms of rainwater management, for this hospital was managed to implement rainwater harvesting. There is about 6 tanks of rainwater harvest tank, and each is about 5.7 meter cube. Collecting the rain and filter it on the left hand side over here. This is a leaf filter and also first flush filter, which flush off whatever the first rain is and collect kind of acceptable quality of rainwater and use that for irrigation purpose. And each of the rainwater outlet was have a signage that this is a rainwater that not supposed to use for other purposes. And the other rainwater management implementation was this biosphere retention pond. So there's a biosphere retention that collects all the rainwater before discharge to the outside. So the idea is to capture and store the water or let it soak into the earth. And in case of heavy rainfall, then it will overflow in terms of the outlet over here and go into the drain. But if term of a light rain or just a normal rain, the water will be retained and discharged slowly to the existing or to the external drainage. All right, next we're looking at the building audit and commissioning. So for energy audit that has been conducted for this hospital back in 2016, it was level 1 and level 2 energy survey and analysis. So at level 1 is walkthrough analysis, where the energy auditor will did a walkthrough to find out what is the major energy use. And level 2, it will be place some of the digital power meter, or it will look into the detail in terms of logging and gathering all this data for analysis. And level 3 was looking into the capital investment. So for this project, I will go through it later on, the list of energy conservation measurements that has implemented. And in terms of building audit and commissioning as well, 23 digital power meters was installed to monitor major use of the energy consumption. And yes, I have said 7 energy conservation measures has been implemented. In terms of energy use, in this case, we have a renewable energy. There's a solar PV installed in front of the hospital. So using the canopy for the car park roof and installed the solar PV. And that contribute 2% of the energy. And the major of the energy was the cooling system, which accounted 52% in the building. And the lighting, one of the major as well, 21%. And the rest is about 27% of the energy use. For your information, this hospital is a minor specialist hospital. It's not a major hospital. Where major hospital, they will house all these big major equipment. So in terms of number of ICU bed, in terms of the machine, this is considered a minor specialized hospital. And if you look at the energy conservation measurements that has been implemented, one is the chiller plant and air handling unit scheduling. So they reset all this scheduling to fit what is required by the space in terms of just let it run 24 hours. And next is changing the lighting to efficient LED lighting. Remember, the lighting account for over 20% of the power is important as well. And third is to adjust the appropriate lighting level. So in terms of some of the area when they do this LED changing, some area are found too bright compared to what is the initial design. So they call it delamping by adjusting the number of lamps in that particular area. Next is installation of energy management system. So this is one huge of the implementation as well, because it's an old building. So it's over 25 years old, and we are looking into how to put all these sensors, all these meters, and all these measurement devices, and installing that. And in order to maximize that monitoring and also training, ensure that the personnel know what is going on by utilizing this system. And this system is online, and their staff can actually access from anywhere they're working from. And next is the solar photovoltaic system, PV system, solar panel. That's the number 5. And number 6 is the air-cooled chiller replacement. Yes, in this case, the project was using an air-cooled chiller rather than the water-cooled chiller for a few of the reasons. One is the water was not enough. The supply from the municipal is not enough. And next is actually is located at the sea, at the seaside, at the island. So therefore, in terms of the humidity and also in terms of the environment, the area wasn't suitable to install a cooling tower over there. And air-cooled chiller was a better option in terms of the suitability of the air conditioning system. So in this case, we actually replaced the old chiller with the brand new magnetic air-cooled chiller. So this brand new magnetic air-cooled chiller will give way higher efficiency compared to the old chiller. And also some of the area, I think majority of the area has been do the AHU replacement. So the air handling unit on the right hand side over here has been replaced to ensure a better temperature, humidity control, and also the more efficient motor and overall air handling unit. So if you look at the energy level for this building, it stands at 154 kilowatt hour per meter square per year, the energy use intensity. So in terms of LEED benchmark, is about 504. And in terms of green building index, the other green building rating tool in Malaysia, the benchmark was at 406. So Hospital Langkawi is at 179. That is the baseline EUI. And for the measurement data, we actually get 154 kilowatt hour per meter square. And take note that because of air conditioning floor area was so much less compared to other building, office for example. So in this case, it's only 27% of air conditioning floor area. And solar PV, as I mentioned just now, was installed in front of the car park on top of the car park canopy. So the total installed capacity was 80 kilowatt hour peak that able to reduce 68 ton of carbon dioxide equivalent. And also the measured data is about 1.72% out of the total energy consumption. On the indoor environmental quality or indoor air quality, in this case, this hospital is multi-level, multi-story. So all the critical room was installed on the upper level where it nearer to the AHU unit, where you require less ducting, also less pressure loss. So in this case, the fresh air was bringing into the AHU on the higher level, and it was going down to the space, and some of the lower level was air conditioning as well, by getting the chilled water from the air cooled chiller, and some area is running on a FCU, and also getting the fresh air from the outside into those FCU. So was ensuring that ASHRAE 62.1 outdoor air minimum requirement was met. It's about 5 liters per second per person. So all this adequate fresh air was supplied into the building. And because majority area are natural ventilations, so on the perimeter wasn't that far away, was complying with 62.1 requirement as well. And also the ceiling fan was provided to ensure that the ventilation was adequate. So if you can see, the lobby over here is obviously is natural ventilated, very huge opening, and this is the waiting area. And on the facade, you can see all these louvers, aluminum louvers that block out the rain but allow the ventilations into the area. And of course, it was installed with all these louvers kind of window. So we allow it to be open and allow the ventilations. On the right hand side over here is after the lighting adjustment to ensure adequate lighting level as well, not too bright and also not under lit. In terms of water conservations, the plants that selected throughout the hospital was actually either a drought resistant plant or require very minimum amount of water for irrigation. Even though it's require less irrigations, but because of the careful selections and also the proper maintenance, the landscape can be look as good as in the picture. In terms of installing or replacing some of the water fitting, this hospital has implemented this auto shut off, push water fitting, and also installed a digital water meter for monitoring purposes. So all in all, able to save about 11% from EPA baseline in terms of indoor water use. Outdoor water use irrigations able to save about 79% from the EPA water sense baseline. And there's total of 18 water submeters that has been installed in the building. So all in all, in terms of this hospital being the pioneer, being the pilot in terms of government effort, as well as our involvement into making this hospital a successful green hospital, we are actually paving the way, leading the way for the government of Malaysia in terms of setting up the context of a green hospital. So green hospital idea has been spoken or has been planned since years ago. But in terms of achieving this milestone is crucial because we're trying to show to the world to Malaysians and to the region that government building is possible. Government building are able to achieve certification just as other private building. Of course, in terms of the process, in terms of the party involved, more people, more process, involving more parties, but nevertheless, it's a worthwhile journey in terms of paving the way for the green building movement in the government sector. So with that, thank you for listening and hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.